My husband's parent controlled our finances, saying, "I'll manage the bank accounts so you don't waste money." My husband nodded and said, "It's safer this way." I laughed, opened my laptop, and said, "Oh, then let's check the transactions together." Their smirk faded as the real numbers appeared on the screen. I, 34 female, married my husband, 36 male, Daniel, a few years ago. We had a pretty normal dating life, no big red flags. But if I had one warning sign, it would have been how involved his parents were in everything he did. Especially his mom, Margaret. And no, not the helpful kind of involved. I mean the "you should ask your mother before buying that couch" kind of involved. At first, I thought it was just a tight-knit family. My own family was more independent, so I figured it was just different dynamics. I also thought maybe she'd back off once we got married. Spoiler, she didn't. We got married in a small ceremony in Portland, Oregon, where we live. Things were fine the first few months. We moved into a townhouse in a quiet neighborhood, split the bills, talked about starting a family, and did all the newlywed stuff. But then, money started getting weird. I work in marketing. Daniel is a civil engineer. We're not rich, but we're comfortable. So when I noticed our checking account was dipping lower than expected every month, I started watching more closely. The first red flag was when I asked Daniel why $800 went missing from our savings. Oh, Mom paid the property tax in advance. She said it would be easier if she just handled it since she was already managing her own. I blinked. She what? She said it's safer if she manages our accounts too. She offered. I figured it made sense. I laughed. I thought he was joking. He wasn't. Apparently, while I was working late and dealing with life, Daniel had given his mother access to our joint accounts. He had transferred our online banking passwords to her so she could monitor spending. I asked him why he thought that was okay. He shrugged and said, "She's just trying to help. She says young couples waste money on stupid stuff." That was the first time I really felt something crack in me. I tried to be calm. I said, "So you trust your mom more than me with our money?" He didn't answer. Just mumbled something about how he thought I'd be fine with it. I wasn't fine with it. Still, I decided to watch and wait. I didn't want to blow up without proof. I changed all the notifications on the bank app to come to my phone. I started keeping receipts. I took screenshots of the bank transactions every night before bed. Within a month, I had more than enough. She was draining us. Not fast, but little by little. $200 to a nail spa. $350 to a boutique in Lake Oswego. $90 here, $120 there. Always small enough that she probably thought we wouldn't notice. But over 8 weeks, it added up to over $4,200. All without a word. Then she started reimbursing herself. Yep. I found a transaction labeled reimbursement, utilities for $500. We pay our utilities online, directly. She had nothing to do with them. The final straw was when she withdrew $1,000 labeled wedding gift for cousin Brian. A cousin of hers, by the way. We didn't even go to the wedding. I didn't confront her right away. I wanted to talk to Daniel first. I sat him down one night after dinner. "Hey, can we go over our finances?" I asked, as casual as I could. He hesitated. "You don't trust Mom?" I ignored that. "Let's just check some transactions together." I pulled out my laptop and opened the bank portal. Logged in. He leaned over. The page loaded. And I just sat there silently scrolling. First page. Spa. Nail bar. Designer boutique. Random wire transfers. Second page. The wedding gift. Jewelry store. Third page. Reimbursement. Daniel's face went pale. What the hell? I didn't say anything. I just kept scrolling. When we hit the 8th page, he pulled back like the screen burned him. "Why didn't she tell me?" he said. "Why would she?" "She's been helping herself to our money," I said. "This isn't managing. This is theft." That's when I heard the front door open. It was Margaret and her husband, Peter. They had keys. I had asked Daniel to change the locks months ago, and he never did. They walked in carrying groceries like they owned the place. "Daniel, I picked up those almond crackers you like," Margaret called, smiling. I stood up. "Margaret, we need to talk." She froze when she saw my laptop. Her eyes flicked to Daniel. Then to me. Then to the screen. "What's this?" "We're going through our bank transactions," I said, calmly. She tried to smile. "Oh, you don't need to worry about those. I've been keeping things in order." I tilted the screen toward her. She looked. Her smirk died. I was just helping," she stammered. "You two work so hard. I figured I could cover the small things. You never noticed before." Daniel stood up too. "Mom, did you seriously spend thousands of dollars from our account?" She looked at him, and I saw her expression change. Like a switch flipped. Suddenly, she was the victim. I have done everything for you, she snapped. You wouldn't even have a house if it wasn't for us. How dare you accuse me of stealing? Peter tried to calm her down, but she was yelling now. You think she would have married you if you weren't stable? I kept you afloat when your business was struggling. You owe me. I snapped. We don't owe you anything. You went behind our backs. You took our money. That's not helping. That's manipulation. Margaret turned to Daniel. You're going to let her speak to me like this? After everything I've done? Daniel didn't respond. That silence said more than anything. I looked at Peter. Did you know about this? He looked embarrassed. I didn't know the full extent. I thought she had your permission. She didn't. The room was dead quiet for a few seconds. Then I picked up my phone and said, we're going to the bank tomorrow. And you're never touching our finances again. Margaret exploded again, saying we were tearing the family apart. Peter said we were overreacting. But Daniel didn't say anything. Not yet. So, the day after the disaster of a confrontation, Daniel and I went straight to the bank. We revoked every permission his parents had. Margaret, gone. Peter, gone. Changed passwords, set up new accounts. We asked for a printout of every transaction tied to their access from the last 12 months. I got a thick envelope full of them. It was worse than I thought. There were checks we didn't write. There were overdraft fees we got charged for because Margaret pulled money out right before bills hit. She even used our card, to pay for some high-end membership at a country club she didn't even belong to. Daniel looked like he was going to be sick. I didn't know it was this bad, he kept saying. I didn't say much. I was still mad. Like, shaking mad. But I wasn't going to explode in the middle of a chase branch. We went home, sat down, and I pulled out a highlighter. I want to go through every single one of these, I told him. He nodded. For the next 3 hours, we sat at the kitchen table. Quiet. Only the sound of the highlighter dragging across the pages and the occasional, what the hell is this? Here's where things took a sharp left. That night, Daniel got a text from his mom. It said, you're making a mistake. Don't forget who helped you. Come by alone tomorrow. We need to talk. I read it over his shoulder. You're not going alone. He hesitated. You're not, Daniel. Okay. The next day we went together. I told him I'd wait in the car. I wanted to respect that maybe he needed to talk to her one-on-one. But 5 minutes after he walked in, I heard yelling through the front window. I ran up to the porch. I didn't even knock. I opened the door and walked in. Margaret was in full meltdown mode. She had printed out some kind of contract and was waving it in his face. You agreed. This was always the plan. I protected you. That's what a mother does. Daniel was trying to speak, but she kept cutting him off. I gave you everything. Your job contacts. Help with the mortgage. Who do you think got you that interview in the first place? I stepped in. That doesn't give you the right to take our money. She glared at me like I was something stuck to her shoe. You don't know what it's like to sacrifice for your family. Daniel put his hands up. Stop. Mom. Just stop. This isn't helping. And then Peter came down the stairs. He was holding another binder. This is what she doesn't want you to see, he said to Daniel. Margaret froze. Daniel took the binder. He opened it. Inside were copies of checks, forged checks. Ones that had his name on them. Ones we never signed. Ones that looked suspiciously like Margaret's handwriting. Are these real? Daniel asked quietly. Peter nodded. She used to work in admin, knew how to make them look real enough to pass. Margaret shrieked. I needed that money. You weren't paying attention to what mattered. You forged my signature, Daniel said, still staring at the page. And what if I did? She snapped. You wouldn't even have a savings account if it weren't for me. I grabbed the binder and took pictures of everything. Margaret tried to rip the binder out of Daniel's hands. You're ruining everything. She's turning you against your own mother. Daniel didn't flinch. You did that yourself. We left. Neither of us spoke much on the drive home. When we got back, I backed up all the photos and sent them to a lawyer friend of mine. I didn't want to go nuclear yet, but I wasn't ruling it out. And just when I thought it couldn't get worse, it did. Daniel went to work the next day. I was working from home. Around noon, I saw a car pull up. It was Peter. He rang the doorbell. I opened the door. He looked exhausted. She's not done, he said. You need to watch your credit. What? She has copies of your social. From your wedding paperwork. I don't think she's done taking from you. I was stunned. I immediately pulled up my credit report. Sure enough, there was a new card. Opened 2 weeks ago. In my name. I never applied for it. I looked at Peter. Did she use my information? He nodded. I tried to stop her. I really did. Daniel came home early that day. I told him everything. He was quiet for a long time. Then he said, I think we need to file a report. I agreed. We called the police. Filed identity theft. Gave them all the documents. Gave them the forged checks. The fake card. The binder. Everything. Now we wait. Margaret has no idea yet. But she will. So, after we filed the police report, I thought maybe, just maybe, Margaret would back off. She didn't. What happened next actually made me question if I was in a soap opera. Or a bad movie. Let me explain. We had just started the credit recovery process. Closed the fraudulent card. Set alerts on every account. Even talked to a lawyer about next steps if Margaret tried anything again. That week, I went into my office building downtown to do some in-person meetings. I was gone maybe 6 hours. When I got home, the front door was unlocked. Not wide open. Just cracked. Daniel was at work. My heart jumped. I walked in slowly, phone in hand. Nothing looked stolen, but something was off. I checked every room. Then I found it, our safe was open. The small one we kept in the bedroom closet. The backup passports and emergency cash? Gone. Only 2 people besides us ever had that code. One was Daniel. The other was Margaret. I called Daniel immediately. Did you come home? No. Why? She was here. He didn't even ask who. He just said, call the police. I did. They came, took the report, checked for fingerprints. They found one on the safe lock, a match from the earlier identity theft report. Yep, it was her. The detective sighed. She's bold, I'll give her that. We changed all the locks. Again. This time we paid extra to have a smart system installed. Fingerprint-only entry. No more spare keys, no more, just checking in visits. We also moved the safe to a new place and didn't tell a soul where. A few days later, Daniel got another message from her. This time, not a text. A long email. Subject line, you forced my hand. The body of the email was unhinged. She said I had manipulated Daniel. That he was choosing a stranger over blood. That I had poisoned his mind and turned him into someone she didn't recognize. She even said I should apologize for breaking their family. But the worst part? She threatened to sue us. Us. For emotional distress. I had to read that part 5 times to believe it. She had stolen thousands, forged checks, broken into our home, opened credit in my name, and now she wanted to sue us? Daniel took the laptop and closed it. I'm done, he said. We're getting a restraining order. We called the lawyer the next day. But here's the twist I didn't see coming. Peter called me. Not Daniel. Me. He asked to meet in person. Said it was urgent. I was hesitant, but I agreed, as long as we met in public. I chose a coffee shop near the courthouse. We sat down. He looked awful. Dark circles, thinner, hands shaking a little. She's getting worse, he said. She's been hiding things from me too. I stayed quiet. Then he pulled out a small notebook. I found this in her dresser. He opened it and flipped through pages filled with notes. Transaction dates. Our bank details. Copies of our IDs. Even answers to our old security questions. She's been planning this for months, he said. Maybe longer. Then he dropped the real bomb. She opened a trust. In Daniel's name. Without telling him. She's been moving small amounts of money into it using your names, pretending it was part of family financial planning. She's listed herself as the trustee. I stared at him. What the hell does that even mean? It means, Peter said, that she's trying to legally tie herself to your assets. If she gets power of attorney over Daniel, which she's trying to do, she can clean you out. I swear my heart stopped. Power of attorney? I whispered. How? She has a lawyer friend. She told them Daniel had a breakdown. That he's not capable of making financial decisions. Now I did laugh. He's a damn engineer. Peter nodded. I know. But if she gets a doctor to sign off on it, she can file. It's hard to win, but she's trying. I left the coffee shop shaking. I went home and told Daniel everything. He didn't say anything. He just sat there with his face in his hands. Then he said, I need to talk to a therapist. Not because I'm broken. But because if she tries this, I want proof I'm fine. We booked him a full evaluation the next day. We also brought in our lawyer and shared everything Peter gave me. Peter, to his credit, agreed to testify. Said he was done playing along with her madness. And then came the final cherry on top of this never-ending nightmare. A letter. Certified mail. From Margaret. Not a lawsuit. Not yet. It was a will. Hers. She cut Daniel out. Everything, every asset, every heirloom, every dollar was being left to her church and her hairdresser's daughter. Don't even ask. But that wasn't the kicker. The last line of the letter said, I hope she's worth it. We haven't responded yet. But trust me, it's coming. After the will came in the mail, Daniel didn't speak to his mom for weeks. Not a word. But then she upped her game. We got a notice. Margaret had filed paperwork with a lawyer requesting conservatorship over Daniel. Basically, she was trying to prove he was mentally unfit to manage his own life. We found out her lawyer was also her cousin. And the doctor? An old friend from church who hadn't seen Daniel in years. She was really doing it. Daniel sat on the couch, just staring at the notice. She's trying to erase me, he said. From her life, from her finances, from her control. But she can't stand that I stopped letting her own me. He called our lawyer. I want to go to court. I want everyone to hear what she's done. The court date came fast. Peter agreed to testify. So did our financial advisor, the bank rep, and even Daniel's therapist. We had a huge file of evidence, screenshots, forged checks, identity theft documents, and the trust she secretly built in Daniel's name. The courtroom wasn't big. Just a few benches. Quiet. Cold. Sterile. Margaret walked in wearing a dark green suit like she was there to accept an award. Her lawyer, her cousin, walked beside her looking smug. She didn't even glance at us. Daniel sat calmly next to me. But I could feel his hand trembling under mine. When it was her turn to speak, Margaret stood and painted a picture of Daniel as confused, easily manipulated, and emotionally unstable. She blamed me for everything. Said I isolated him. Said he was having episodes and spending recklessly. The judge asked her for proof. She had none. When it was our turn, our lawyer tore her story to pieces. Daniel's therapist testified first. This is a mentally healthy man. Grounded. Logical. Not only is he capable of managing his life, he's been recovering from years of emotional control. Peter went next. He looked at his wife, then down at the table. I enabled her, he said. For years, I stayed quiet. I knew she was taking money, forging documents. I didn't know about the conservatorship attempt. But I believe she would have gone through with it. I'm here today because I can't watch her hurt Daniel anymore. The room was silent. Then the judge turned to Margaret and said, Do you have any actual evidence that your son is unable to care for himself? She didn't speak. Daniel stood up. I want to say something, he said. The judge allowed it. Daniel looked directly at his mother. You always said you were helping. But what you really wanted was control. You took my choices away. You lied. You stole. You used the word family like a weapon. Margaret scoffed. Everything I did was for you. Daniel didn't yell. He didn't cry. He just said, no. It was always for you. Because if you weren't in control, you didn't know who you were. The judge ended it quickly after that. Case dismissed. Margaret didn't get conservatorship. Instead, she got reported for fraud and identity theft. We didn't press charges for the break-in or the money, but the judge referred everything to a financial crimes investigator. It was over. Or so we thought. 2 weeks later, we got a letter. Not from Margaret. From her church. Apparently, she'd been telling people I was a gold digger who broke her son. She said we tricked her out of her savings. She was spinning the narrative like she was the victim. I cried. Not because I cared what her church thought, but because this woman, this mother, would rather destroy her son's life than admit she was wrong. That night, Daniel packed a bag and drove to Peter's. Not to stay, but to talk. Peter called me the next morning and said he needed to see the house one last time. When he came back, Daniel looked empty. She told me I wasn't her son anymore. I hugged him. There wasn't anything else to say. We moved a few months later. Out of Portland. New jobs, new place, new peace. Peter emails sometimes. He left Margaret a month after the hearing. Says he's trying to build his own life now. We haven't seen Margaret since court. No birthday cards. No fake apologies. Just silence. Honestly, it's peaceful. Every now and then, Daniel checks her Facebook out of habit. She still posts church potlucks and inspirational quotes like nothing happened. But her eyes look different in the photos now. Cold. Empty. Like she finally got what she wanted. Total control. Over nothing. People think family can't be toxic. They think blood means loyalty. It doesn't. Sometimes the most freeing thing you can do is cut the rope that's been slowly strangling you. We didn't just take our money back. We took our lives back. If you're in a similar situation, yes, it's hard. Yes, it's messy. But I promise you, it's worth it.